We want to say hello to everybody out there in radio, internet, and TV land. We really appreciate your joining us, and as usual, we make an effort to bring you information that's going to be meaningful to the community, going to help the community grow, help the individuals grow, help families grow, and things of that nature. So in keeping with that, today we're going to have a show with one of our neighbors here in Central Georgia, and in the person of Miss Tiffany Andrews. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
And I'm your host, Alex Habershev, and I'm so happy to have you today as my guest. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're not going to talk about individualism. We're going to do more conversation on regionalism and the other kinds of things that we can do as neighbors to support and to help each other. However, we're going to begin. I understand that you are extremely popular lately, you know, being all in the media, in the local media, on our state media. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, not what you do, but about you.
Which is, it's hard to separate the two. I'm very married to my job, but it is something I love to do, and that makes it easy. Do have two children, one that is in high school and one that's in elementary school, so we have that varied look at life from a high school aspect and an elementary school aspect, so it keeps us young and on our toes. Right. But that was one of the things that drove me to Monroe County, actually, was the school system, having a young child in the school system, so we wanted to make sure we were rooted in a place. And my heart's in Middle Georgia, was in Warner Robins. My dad was a military man, and he retired there. And we stayed. We haven't left. So it's the longest I've lived anywhere, and I'm proud to call it home. Right.
So what did you do prior to coming to Monroe County?
Worked for the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. I was there for almost 9 years. So regionalism is definitely my background. It's my heart.
Right. So now tell us what you do with Monroe County.
I'm head of the Chamber of Commerce, which we are an umbrella organization. We actually house the Chamber, the Development Authority, and Tourism. We do all three.
Okay. That's pretty nice. Talk to us. You know, a lot of people, particularly everyday citizens, don't really understand the function, the role, and the benefit of the chamber. So just kind of walk us through the advantages of having a chamber in our community and some of the activities in which the chamber is involved.
Great. Anytime I can give a commercial, I appreciate it, and it is. It's one of those entities that people just don't understand. And we in Monroe County call it the 411. If you need something in Monroe County, we get the phone calls, and we appreciate it. You know, that gives us a vote of confidence for sure. But the importance of it, honestly, is it's the glue. You know, we work with the city, we work with the county, we work with individuals, we work with small business, we work with big business. You know, we're not biased in any way. We are just there for the betterment of the community. And on the chamber side, our job role is to work with those businesses that are already there. What can we do from a community standpoint and a business standpoint to help those businesses grow and thrive in Monroe County? And then on the industrial side, it's the marketing arm. You know, we're out there trying to proactively get those businesses into Monroe County so the chamber can step in and make sure that they stay there. And then tourism, that was out there on its own for so many years, but everybody is starting to see the economic benefit and the impact. So it's a wonderful marriage between all three entities. You know, from the start to continuing their growth, you know, we're right there all together, just trying to make sure that everybody's successful in Monroe County.
Now, what would be kind of like the things to see? I know you had the movie film there.
Yes, sir.
Not too long ago. Well, it might have been a while now.
25 years.
Oh, wow. Has it been 25?
Yes.
Yeah. What was the name of the movie?
Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah, Fried Green Tomatoes. I mean, I still see this. I hadn't had any.
Oh,
but I have had them. But I had fried pickles too. You know, they are kind of interesting.
Coming in.
But what would be the attraction? I know that it's a small community comparatively, but I'm sure there's something to see in Monroe County.
Oh, absolutely. And most of them are hidden gems. You know, that's the thing, is we have Lake Juliet, and if you are an outdoors person, awesome fishing, there. You cannot have a motor over 25 miles per hour, so it's very serene. If you just like to relax and go out on the lake, you can do that. You can tube down the river, start in Monroe County, come on down and go into Bibb County. They're working on that trail actually for the connectivity. So again, that ties wonderfully into that regionalism of, yes, you can do it in Bibb, but why not start out a little bit higher up and enjoy a little bit longer float? And we have Rum Creek Wildlife Management Area, which is truly one of our hidden gems. And that is, again, for outdoorsmen. If you enjoy birding or butterflying, you can go out there and sit and watch and enjoy nature. And more well-known, though, is High Falls State Park. It's the second most visited park in the entire state of Georgia. And it's one of those where when I first got here and went to the park, you don't think you're in middle Georgia. Oh, wow. You think you're in the North Georgia mountains. Wow. It is like taking yourself out of the city and going into the mountains. Wow. And it's truly just a great escape for anybody. A lot of outdoor stuff. And that's a switch for people that live in Macon and the city and in the hustle and bustle all the time. You can just come and relax in Monroe County.
Well, I think that leads us into talking about partnerships,
yes, sir.
Regionalism and neighborliness and cooperation. So, what kind of activities are going on, or what kind of activities would you like to see going on as it relates to, the world is becoming smaller, but I've heard, everybody from the mayor to Commissioner Hart when he was the commissioner, and even Mayor Howard and Mayor Rickard, talk about the importance of regionalism. And let's talk about that for a minute.
And twofold, looking at it from two different angles. Obviously, from my regional commission days, it was the government side. Looking at how can our cities, counties work together to improve or utilize those services jointly. It's a no-brainer. Especially when we're working on the industrial side, they don't care where that county line is. Our labor pool, I'm using your labor, you're using my labor, and all that business cares about is they have labor.
Right.
The address doesn't affect them. And from Monroe County standpoint, it's even more important because we do need that collective base. I can't sell Monroe County on its own basis. It won't work. We're a bedroom community to Macon and Atlanta. But if you add us to the mix, we have a true impact. And that's, I think, the way that it has to be looked at. Yes, Mayor Rickard and Mayor Howard both have to worry about their constituents and that they are within those city limits. But when it all comes down to it, if we're not all succeeding, none of us are succeeding.
Right.
And we're very blessed in Middle Georgia that everybody works well together. There doesn't seem to be, those struggles. There's some, but again, that's elected officials. They have to worry about that. But on the industrial side as well, we already collectively have a group called the Middle Georgia Economic Alliance, which is all 11 counties in Middle Georgia, that we get together and we've branded Middle Georgia as the Middle Georgia Economic Alliance to the state. We go up there on a quarterly basis together saying, this is Middle Georgia, this is what Middle Georgia has to offer. I'm not selling Monroe, I'm not selling Bibb, I'm selling 11 counties. The labor pool of 11 counties, the per capita income of 11 counties, and the transportation system that goes through those 11 counties.
Now we need to talk about that. I want to interrupt you.
That's quite all right.
Because, it is so, let me tell you something, Miss Andrews. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
And I'm your host, Alex Haversham, interviewing Miss Tiffany Andrews, who's the Executive Director, President?
CEO of the Chamber.
CEO of the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce, and of course, we'll be in good neighbors and good friends and cooperating because it's important that we work together. But I want you to address something for me.
I'll try.
And it's not controversial, but it seems to me, and I've said this several times, you're talking about a hidden gem. It seems to me that Central Georgia ought to be the premier location in the southeast, based on all of the resources that we have. And you mentioned transportation, so that's what kind of spurred that comment. Like where the interstates meet in between Atlanta and Savannah, and in the middle, I-16, and in the middle of the state. So, just talk a little bit about what's being done and maybe what else we can do, to realize, to maximize, if you please, the potential of the community. Because, we should be busting out of the scenes with industry. People should be wanting to come here. We got water, and there are a lot of places really looking for water. They're looking for rail. We got rail and we got concrete, and then we got land and the other surrounding communities like Monroe and Twig. So how is that going as it relates to maximizing that potential?
The challenge is competition. That is the key is, we have all these wonderful assets. Well, right next door, there's somebody else who also has those wonderful assets. So our struggle is...
Now, when you say competition, you mean within the 11 county alliance, or you're talking about external?
External. And I don't just mean outside of our region, outside of our state, it's outside of the country, it's global now. We have so many other factors that play, and it's not just where I have to worry about Bibb County. It's not even me worried about the other 158 counties. It's extreme now what we're looking at. And unfortunately, the game has become incentive driven, and it's who can give away the most to make that company come to their community. That's the challenge. It's not the water, it's not the sewer, it's not the infrastructure, it's what are we willing to give away to get that big Academy Sports or Tractor Supply to locate in our community. And it's unfortunate. It really is, because we can't go back to the good old days where it was just you come here because I do have water and sewer. And it's a challenge for our elected officials, because then it's a burden on the taxpayers, and making sure that whole big picture is putting the puzzle together so that it's a benefit to all.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of potential. It's just, we have the assets. It's just sticking ourselves out there, advertising ourselves, and putting the best package together forward.
And we've done fairly well. Well, we're going to talk some more about that. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, interviewing Ms. Tiffany Andrews, the CEO of the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce, and we'll be right back.
Coliseum, Macon, GA.
Sexy.
Legends Entertainment brings you the Legends Tour, and tickets starting at $28.
Tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
Saturday, September 27th. Habersham, Coliseum.
Going all the way down.
Silk. RL.
This your boy, Mr. Butterlove himself.
And Raheem the Dream. The Macon Coliseum, Saturday,
September 27th.
Music by DJ Smooth. And for more info, call 404-354-7747.
We're back. This is a call to action.
A
call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, interviewing Ms. Tiffany Andrews, CEO of the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce. And we talked about it being kind of a bedroom community, but it is also a historical community, and all of the activities in the community are not bedroom-like, because I know you all have a lot of social, civic, and historic activities going on in that community. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. Monroe County is very blessed, especially with Tiff College, the foundation of it, and the legacy that it left with a teaching facility. But what a lot of people don't realize is even before Tiff College, that historic aspect of the teaching component was done by the Hubbard school system. And we are so blessed that we have that legacy of the African American history that's been preserved over the years through now what's the Hubbard alumni, which is taking those graduates of the Hubbard School that moved on to become Fort Valley State College. And they have done a phenomenal job just making sure.
Hubbard preceded Fort Valley State.
It did. It was the original. That is where Fort Valley State College began their legacy. Was actually in Monroe County at the Hubbard School.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So there is a facility. I know last time I was there, and I've been to, as a matter of fact, I was a grand marshal of one of the parades.
For the Hubbard Parade.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
Parade.
well attended event.
A couple of years, but isn't there a building that?
There is. There's the original dormitory that was there from the school, as well as the President's Cottage, which has now been redeveloped into our Workforce Development Center.
Wow.
So again, continuing that legacy, preserving the history, and making sure that respect is still given to those before us.
Wow.
So
Well, what about some social activities? You all got much going on there?
Yes. Well, and as you mentioned, Hubbard does a great job at having festivities and events in our community, and we're trying to find ways to bridge that out and make that more regional. So we look forward to seeing how we can extend those roots beyond just our borders. But
Wow.
currently, what we have going on, every Friday we have the farmers market that's downtown, and we have some faithful vendors that come and some wonderful fruits and vegetables from our local regional vendors. And then we also, the Forsyth Better Hometown and Main Street program does a great job with the concerts on the square. And our next one coming up is the first weekend in August, and it'll be the Grapevine, which always has a great draw from across Middle Georgia.
Right.
And enjoy those people coming
Now, this
into
is an
downtown.
outside event?
It's outside, yes, sir.
Wow.
And it's on the square. You can rent a table if you're not one that likes to just sit in your chair. And it's bring your own food, bring your own cooler, and just enjoy dancing in the street.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Well, what, in case one wanted to learn more about Monroe County and the Chamber and the Industrial Authority and the tourism,
Yes, sir.
what's the resource to get more information?
We're on Facebook. Yeah, just like that. That's the wave of the future under Forsyth Monroe County Chamber, but also our website, which is www.forsyth-monroechamber.com.
Oh, okay. Phone number?
478-994-9239.
This is a call to action. I want to express my appreciation to Miss Tiffany Andrews, CEO of the Monroe County Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot going on in Monroe County. And I think it's incumbent upon us as neighbors and as citizens, to work together. And I think this ought to be a model for the community, for the different neighborhoods in the community, the different segments of the community, and the different ethnicities. Now, if you can get 11 counties throughout central Georgia, to work together, then maybe we can get 111 groups in central Georgia to work together and address the social, political, economic, and spiritual problems that we have. We can do it. We can get it done if we kind of use that 11 county alliance as an example and work together. I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Lincoln Coliseum, Saturday,
September 27th.
Music by DJ Smooth. And for more info, call 404-354-7747.
This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham, and we're back interviewing the Honorable John Howard, Mayor of Forsyth, Georgia, and we're just sitting here talking about a lot of things as it relates to what's going on in Forsyth, and we both agree that regionalism is important. So as technology and other kinds of things are increased, then the whole area becomes smaller. So we have an obligation, frankly, to try to live together and work with each other and try to improve, the region. Because as we improve the region, then the whole area will do it better economically. I heard you mention people moving to Forsyth, to Monroe County. What's up with that?
I think it may have something to do with with those low taxes, I believe. There's a lot of people in Monroe County. Sad thing is, you rarely see them in the city because we have very little to offer them other than the Grits Cafe and maybe Walmart, but that's about it. But I run across a lot of people that say, "Oh, I live right there in Monroe County." It's like, really? So and Forsyth being the county seat, that's the reason why I say we've got to do better because we are the county seat. So we've got to. An old lady told me one time, she said Forsyth needs to join the rest of the world, and I agree. We've got to join the rest of the world. A strange thing happened is when I came in office. Just with the council, I started a green program. That's what I call it. But it was something as simple as getting rid of all of our binders around the council table. I implemented iPads. So now we all have iPads, and it cut down on the work of my clerk because now she can send that whole file for the meeting within maybe 10, 15 minutes, whereas she would take almost a day and a half to create those notebooks every day. So and that's one of the things, and it's cut down on the use of our paper.
Right.
So sustainability is something I'm thinking about, which is using more with less.
Right.
I just come back from a convention in Savannah, the annual convention, and I'm interested in the electric cars for our meter readers, because they do a lot of riding around town, and I would love to make that happen, because that would cut down on fuel,
Right.
and possibly natural gas vehicles.
Right.
Something else I'm thinking about.
Right. So you've been very, but how have you been received? I know you've been received fairly well because you won. But do you think you're doing a good job? Because it's very, very difficult to get a lot done with people and resources and forces pulling against you. And I can just tell by the nature of your conversation that you're trying to pull the community together. So how is that?
I am, and I'll tell you now, when I first initially got in office, I sat back for a few months. And the one thing that I did is when I announced to the city that we were struggling financially, that put a lot of people on edge. So my approval rating may have gone down just a little bit.
But you told the truth.
I told the truth. I think about that movie Jack Nicholson played when he told Tom Cruise, "You can't handle the truth." I think about that movie because that's what it was. People couldn't handle the truth.
Right.
But I was just being honest. They needed to know that this is where we are financially. And I'll tell you why we were there. It was mainly because we had failed to develop our utilities. Whereas our wholesale provider provides electricity every year. They go up on their rates, but we were not going up on ours.
Right.
And so I was made out to be a villain when all I was saying was we have to adjust the cost, and you got to pass the cost on to the customer. We can't give it away. But when you haven't adjusted your cost in over 20 years,
Wow.
that could be a big hike. But now I knew if we went the whole 20 or something, I knew I was going to run out the back door.
Right.
So we didn't do that. But I mean, we're trudging along slowly. But
You were able to increase.
we were able to increase. It took me about 2 years to get it done, finally. But because nobody wanted to hear that.
Right. Well, well, talk a little bit. I understand you got high hopes for the mayor's ball.
Yes, sir.
So talk about it. What kind of activity it will be, who can come, how much it's going to cost, if you know that right now.
I do.
And any way anybody can help.
Well, it's going to be a signature event for the city, and I'm hoping that it will be an event that the next mayor, whenever that may come, will carry it on. It's not about me. I just think it's something that we can do in the city of Forsyth, where people can come together once a year, and we can give most of, if not all, the local businesses in Forsyth a chance to have a piece of it and make some revenue off of it as well. Tickets are going to be like $50. Yours and my friend AJ, the DJ, is going to provide my entertainment. It's going to be a black tie event, very formal, at the Gallery 51 on December 21st, which is the first day of winter, and that's the first day of the week of Christmas. And we felt that would be a good time to have it. That's a Sunday, but we're not going to stay out all night. But we just figured that a lot of people take it off of that week vacation. We'll try to have a good time.
Right. Okay, well, maybe we ought to give some information not only as it relates to, it might be somebody out there with a big distributor, man, who hears this show and want to, put a warehouse or something in Monroe County or Forsyth. So you need to tell people how to get in touch with you, and maybe also where more information can be found out about the mayor's ball.
All right.
Because I don't know whether you have the ball on the website or not.
It's not there yet, but I've got to go and approve a sponsorship package on Monday that's waiting on me right now to look it over and everything. And our next ball committee meeting will be the 24th as well. But our website is cityofforsyth.net, and my email is mayorjhoward@cityofforsyth.com. The number to City Hall is 478-994-5649.
Okay.
And that's how
Repeat
you can
that.
That's 478-994-5649.
Okay. Is there any other? Is there any way that anybody else can assist you in doing what you're doing? Rather than campaigning for you. We're not trying to make this political.
I know. I welcome any and all assistance. Just send me an email, mayorjhoward@cityofforsyth.com, and tell me what you have to offer, and we can meet and we can talk about it. Because one thing I understood when I came in this office was I couldn't do it by myself, and I never even tried to give that impression.
Right.
And that is the one thing I have done since I've been in office. If you have ideas, tell them to me. But one thing I come to realize is that a lot of people have ideas, but they won't always tell you what they are.
Right. Well, hopefully that there are some members of our viewing audience who will call the mayor. Give us that number again.
That's 478-994-5649.
And that's Mayor John Howard. And speaking of ideas, this is a call to action.
A call to
And
action.
like the mayor, I'm always looking for ideas. You know, one time I heard a preacher say, do you have any ideas, good jokes, or criticism? But in order to grow, then you got to have input. So we're very, very interested in your observations and your comments as it relates to a call to action. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my producers, Trace and Andrea Crum. They've done a phenomenal job. And I also have to mention Miss Jerry McCord and the Ruth Hotley Mosley Center. We record here every week, and they graciously allow us to use it. But my objective is to improve this community by disseminating information. And you will know that I believe that it takes all of us. I got 2 quotes for you. You know, it takes a village to raise a child, and then a rising tide raises the whole ship. So if somehow we could come together and try to get involved in something positive, help the young people, you know, help economic development, help the neighborhoods, you know, come up with ideas to reduce crime, emphasize the need for recreation and other kinds of programs in our community, then we want to hear that. You know, you can see a call to action. You can hear it every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock on Magic 100 Radio. You can see it on TV 14 on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 9 o'clock and at 9:30. And you can also see it on My 41 NBC, Channel 11, every Saturday morning at 10:30. And we'll be blasting it out on our email blast. So we want to make a difference in the community. And we need your help, and we need your support, and we need to give thanks, you know, for what we've done. But we can do more. We can do a whole lot more. Don't just stand there. Do something. This is a call to action.
A call to action.
I'm your host, Alex Habersham. Have a great day.
www.makingblackpages.com